Welcome back to another useless fucking video that I'm about to make, and yeah, yeah. Today's gonna be a mock draft Wednesday. Today's what's the date? March 11th. And I'm currently making this at 11:40 a.m. Woohoo! So basically, I'm making another mock draft as usual. Woohoo! So there's been a lot that happened the past couple of days or past 24 hours. Bam Adebayo dropped 83, fucking nuts, and the NFL news, which is the second biggest news of the day because Adebayo dropped to 83. We have the Ravens getting their pick back. So that's gonna change a lot of things, and in my opinion, that's kind of crazy because they just signed Trey Hendrickson. So I would assume a defensive lineman or slash edge rusher is out of the equation right now because you just paid Trey Hendrickson for 4 years for $112 million. Like, you're not gonna draft a lineman. So there's a lot of moving parts. You can definitely see going guard, but we'll get there when we need to. But the first pick and the easiest pick, and I was looking at the trends before I started recording. Jesus Christ, it was 97-2. Where does the other 1% go? I think it's like 97 point something, and then it's probably 2 point something. I don't know who's mocking. I don't know who's mocking Mendoza to the Jets. I mean, it's just the easiest pick for the Raiders. But yeah, Mendoza goes here. I'm not really gonna waste my breath here. I mean, everybody knows who's watched these regularly, just in general. Not even my videos, just in general, because I don't know, people don't really watch my videos in general. There's a lot of moving parts, and not a lot of moving parts actually. There's literally no variation for this pick. It's either Mendoza or you don't pick for the Raiders. Like, it's literally only Mendoza. So I feel like Mendoza is the safest pick here. Not the worst idea. The Jets take Arvo Reese out of Ohio State University. I like this pick a lot too because I think this fits schematically the best for the Jets than any of the edge rushers on the board, or even Sonny Styles. So I think that makes a little most sense. Even Caleb Downs can go, but like, again, you just signed Minkah Fitzpatrick, so there's no point in taking him. So taking Arvo Reese here is not the worst idea in the world. You need an edge rusher. Got rid of Jermaine Johnson, and edge is a big need for this team. So taking him here is not the worst idea in the world. And they did get Geno Smith back, so you could say, oh, maybe they trade back and get Ty Simpson in the later in the first round. They just got Geno Smith. They're probably going to have a bridge quarterback. I would prefer Kyler Murray personally. I think taking Geno Smith here, who it is a full circle moment. I think Kyler Murray gives you more value because Geno Smith is interesting because he really, again, he had a really, really bad year. Like, he was the worst quarterback in the NFL. And then there's also the concerns of him being older. I think Kyler Murray, you can develop. In worst case, he's your quarterback one for the future. If not, you can develop, or you can have it for 2 to 3 years and develop that quarterback that you get next year. So the Jets do have a lot of draft capital, so I mean, it wouldn't really matter that much. You maybe still can find a way to get Dante Moore or Arch Manning. I'm not super high on the Arch Manning trade right now. I gotta see what more he does in college. Just because he's Manning doesn't mean he's a first overall pick. So the proven quarterbacks like Dante Moore, DJ Lagway, maybe. I don't know. As Julian's saying, there's a lot of interesting areas to go. But this year they take Arvo Reese and kind of just building this team around, and eventually they'll get that number one quarterback. The Cardinals, I have them taking Francis Mauigoa out of Miami University. Mauigoa has great power and great ability to kind of run down these blocks, and he has pretty good arm length versus someone like Spencer Fana, who really didn't test well in the arm length range. And Modern Feeling won't really fit this team's need because he's more of a left tackle, and I know he's more of a prototypical type left tackle. Now I know can move into guard if needed. And this team, the Cardinals did sign a guard this time, Sayomava, but I don't know. I just think that you still need a tackle regardless. So building this team up from the ground up, and maybe taking a quarterback in the second round, like maybe like Ty Simpson, it's not the worst idea in the world. So I think this makes the most sense for me, and I like Francis Mauigoa here. Titans, I really want to go Jeremiah Love here, but today I'm gonna go a little different because I did Jeremiah Love my previous mock draft on round 1. So I'm gonna go David Bailey out of Texas Tech University. I really like David Bailey too. I'm not as high as him as I am Ruben Bain or Arvo Reese. I think he's my edge 3 in this class. Maybe even, I dare say, edge 4. I really like TJ Parker. I really do. So he's maybe my edge 3/4 in this draft class. The only reason is I have him so low is because the off the field character concerns and also his just like ability to play through down linemen. I think that his rush technique and his strength just needs to get better if he wants to be successful in the NFL. And he has a below average bend for his size and how small he is, but he has crazy explosiveness, and he's produced. So I don't think this is the worst idea in the world, but he is a little bit on the smaller side. I mean, I think Sonny Styles is like 5 pounds less like lighter than him, which is crazy because Sonny Styles is playing an off-ball linebacker and played safety. David Bailey's 250s on the smaller side versus Ruben Bain, who's like 270. Like it's crazy. Or Arbor Reese, who's like also like 265, 243. So it's Arbor Reese is also playing off-ball linebacker too as well. So like there's a lot of interesting areas because David Bailey is just a pure edge rusher. So there's a lot of moving parts there. I think that taking David Bailey here for a team that needs an edge is not the worst idea in the world. They didn't really address it that well in free agency, so wouldn't be the worst idea to take him here. The Giants, even with the signing of Tremaine Edmonds and Michael McFadden coming back, that's not going to make them say, oh, we're going to take Caleb Downs or Jeremiah Love. I know they've been shopping high for running back. I just think that like this team, I wouldn't be like obscenely shocked. I would be like, wow, what are they doing? Shocked. I'd be like, I wouldn't be like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. Shocked. I'd be like, why? What are they doing? Like that type of shocked. So there's moving parts to that, but I think that taking Sonny Styles here makes the most sense because you get your linebacker of the future alongside Tremaine Edmonds, who can kind of teach him to be more of a NFL ready type player. I think he already is NFL ready and is just everything about him. I've just said this a million times. Everything about him is literally everything about him is just so good. Like I don't know, his speed for his size, his technique, his IQ, like everything just about him is so sound, and he's such a crisp prospect, and that's why I had him consistently going in this 8 range before the combine, 8 to 12 range. Now I have him going in the top 5, and I can definitely see him going 3 or 4. Like that's how good he is, and you don't usually see off-ball linebackers go this far up. It's just the problem with Sonny Styles. I think is generational because I think the point where you have to realize this guy's good, and he's not Isaiah Simmons. Like he doesn't have Isaiah Simmons when he was coming out of the draft prospect in 2020. He didn't have a real role. You don't know if he was like the safety and linebacker hybrid. It was kind of in between, and that really kind of was the downfall for him because he never really had a true role in the NFL. Sonny Styles is more of a linebacker, and I know he did have ex-safety experience, which is fine because you also have a great area to like great smartness to him, but also at the same time, right? He is primarily playing linebacker versus Simmons, who played safety too a little bit in Clemson. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, but I think taking Sonny Styles here makes the most sense, and I think that people comparing him to Simmons is kind of like no, that makes no sense. Like he's literally like in my opinion, he was a better prospect than Simmons, and Simmons went I think 7th. So I don't know. I just think I like Sonny Styles a little more than I ever did Simmons. So I don't know. That's just me. The Browns. I didn't go this. I went Carl Tate last time. I think I'm gonna go Monroe Freeling. I just love Monroe Freeling. He's just you really can't teach what he has, which is his size, which is 6'7", 315. He's like literally the perfect frame and height and weight for a tackle, and his arm length is like off the charts. It's like I think it's slightly above average, so that's really good, and especially for a blindside blocker, which teams really value. Well, blindside if Shedeur starts, regular side if Dylan Gabriel starts, because Dylan Gabriel's a lefty. But regardless, if you get a good tackle here, it's not the worst idea in the world. So yeah, I think that it's just a solid pick, and this team also has Tytus Howard going in, so I think he'll probably play right, and then Monroe Freeling can play left. Not the worst idea in the world. The Commanders. I haven't really had this going. I've had Jeremiah Love going here sometimes. I'm at off the grid mock drafts. I don't think the Chiefs take Jeremiah Love anymore because of obviously K9 and then Saints with ETN. So you can definitely take running back here. I wouldn't hate running back here. I'm gonna take Jeremiah Love. I really like Jeremiah Love as well. I think regardless, I think he's a top 10 player, maybe top 5 for me in this class. I really like it, and this team really needs a true running back one. I think Jacoby Cross-America was fine, but I'm just not a big fan, and Eckler was injured this entire year, so I think that you may need some fresh legs. I think Merritt, Eckler, and Love, I don't know if Eckler is still a free agent or what's going on with him, but I think he still has a couple years left or a year left on his contract. So I think Jeremiah Love would make the most sense here because I think this makes a little more sense for this team that needs a younger halfback. And if you take you've seen these good running backs go really high, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Zeke, all these guys have gone really high because they've been really, really dominant in college. Jeremiah Love is no different. I think he's cut from the same cloth. Obviously, Genty went number 6 overall last year. I think Jeremiah Love is cut from the same cloth. Is cut from the same cloth as some of these guys. So I think taking Jeremiah Love here is not the worst idea in the world. And honestly, I think this makes the most sense for me because you could say Ruben Bain here because you didn't really address the edge in free agency beside overpaying for Odafe Owe, which I did not like at all. It's a little too much for my taste. I think he maybe a little less money because I think $100+ million or $100 million on the dot is a little crazy to me because yeah, I don't know. He really didn't produce in Baltimore, and then you're just taking like you're paying him so much for a good, like a one good half of the season with Jesse Minter, who is a great defensive mind. I don't know. I just don't really like that much. So take Jeremiah Love here is fine. You can also take Ruben Jr. here, not the worst idea in the world. I wouldn't really hate any of these picks. Or Downs. Downs wouldn't really be that bad either. The Saints, there's a lot of interesting areas they can go here as well. I think Ruben Jr., the value is too good. You can also go Mansour. You would have loved Sonny Styles here as well. I just think taking Ruben Jr. here, best player available, and honestly a team need. This team didn't really address that much either in this free agency. Taking Ruben Jr., who has produced in many different games and just in the playoff run, especially this year for Miami, it's not a bad pick at all. Miami had some pretty good players as well. Ruben Jr. was definitely one of them. It was a good 1-2 punch with Akeem Mesidor, who would probably be drafted in the first or late first, early second type area, but Ruben Jr. was really good. The only problem is falling because of his arm length, but honestly, I wouldn't really worry about that too much. I think his production has been really good, and I think he's my edge number 2 other than RB, so wouldn't hate that pick at all. The Chiefs, there's a lot they can go here as well. I could see maybe Spencer Fontaine if he can play tackle. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I don't think Blake Miller is way too high for this, so not a huge fan of that. You could maybe go a defensive interior. Peter Woods, wouldn't mind, or you can go Mansour Delane. And you lost 2 of your top corners to the Rams. McDuffie and Watson both went to the Rams. So taking Delane here is not the worst idea in the world. I think Delane makes the most sense for this team because, again, there's no corner. And Delane's kind of built similar to McDuffie, which is a smaller corner with less arm length. But he just produced and is really good on the ball, really good hand placement, just really good refined technique all around. So taking Mansour Delane here is not the worst idea. Spags would have a weapon. The Bengals, I think Carlton makes the most sense. I know you decided Cook to an extension or to a deal was 3 years, $40 million. I think Downs will still suffice. This team needs a safety regardless, even with Cook or without. I think Cook would be a good pairing with Caleb Downs, who Caleb Downs is kind of a center fielder. Get a tackle. Cook can be that turnover prone machine that you get. So wouldn't be the worst idea in the world, and this team needs a safety. I know they just lost Trey Hendrickson, so you definitely see him going edge here, but I think you can maybe get a better edge later on in the draft. What pick do they have later on? At pick 41. Pick 41, Cassius Howell maybe. Keldrick Folk is a little, probably won't fall. But you can definitely go someone like Malachi Lawrence. I'm really high on Derek Moore. Maybe Kamara. I don't know. I just think that would, or even Malachi Lawrence. I've seen a bunch of people go Malachi Lawrence. I'm not a gigantic hater of Malachi Lawrence at all either. So wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. But today they go in the first round they go Caleb Downs. So I think taking edge is a little bit better later on in the draft class than it is now. So taking Downs here, taking basically best player available is the best option for this team. The first receiver goes off the board for the Dolphins. They take Carnell Tate, which would be a good contrast to Jalen Waddle. The wide receiver room in that area is really bad, and you definitely see taking Dylan Thiemann here, especially with the trade of Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think that will work out well too, but at the same time, I think that Carnell Tate would work, if not a little better, because this team needs a real wide receiver one after Tyreek Hill's gone, and now Minkah Willis is gone. You probably want to maximize his talent and maybe his window, and maybe you develop him into a real good guy. I wasn't really high on Malik Willis when he was coming out of college. I know people wanted quarterback need teams to draft him, but I think taking Carnell Tate here is not the worst thing in the world. So taking him here would not be the worst. The Cowboys, there's a lot of interesting areas they can go here. They can go Dylan Thiemann, especially with some of their safeties. I know they signed a couple in free agency. I don't think those guys will stop them from drafting Dylan Thiemann. You can go linebacker too, but I don't know. I just think linebacker here is a little too rich. I think the drop off is a little too much. So taking someone later on at pick 20 maybe would work a little better. So the real question is, where do they go? They don't need Mekhi Lemon. I don't think they really need Kenyon Sadiq either. I think taking just Dylan Thiemann is the best option here. Again, filling a need a safety. I know they signed a couple in free agency, but I think Dylan Thiemann will walk in and be that number one guy. He had a really good combine. He was already a first round player, like a fringe first round player for me before the combine. After the combine, I was like, yeah, this guy's a top 15 player for me. He's really good, and his drills are so fluid. His 40-yard time is so fluid. Everything was just so good, and I don't know. I just think that taking him here is not the worst thing in the world. The Rams, there's a lot of areas they can go here as well. Definitely see going Mekhi Lemon. You can also see going Jordan Tyson. Kenyon Sadiq is not the worst idea in the world, and that would be a kind of a Rams type pick. You also go Spencer Fano, but maybe you take a tackle later on in this draft class. Maybe you go for Maxi Inacho. I don't think he'll fall, but maybe Caleb Lomu wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. But taking someone like Kenyon Sadiq or Mekhi Lemon would not be the worst idea in the world. but I've kind of gravitated towards this pick a little more. Jordan Tyson. I want to see the trends. I want to see how many people mock. People don't really mock him to the Rams. I'm gonna go a little different because I just did Jordan Tyson to the Rams a little bit sooner. I'm gonna go Kenyon Sadiq. I think Kenyon Sadiq was really, really good. I think he will be a great fit for this team. He's not gonna be a traditional blocker for you. The problem is that there's a difference between being a diva and being a traditional blocker. Kenyon Sadiq actually tries to block, and people don't really value that. I guess people aren't really bringing that up. Kenyon Sadiq actually tries to block. I know his technique isn't there. I'm not saying he's the most sound blocker, but as long as there's a will, there's a way, and there is a will for him. And I think if you develop his technique a little more, he can be a good blocker. And then you also get the perks of him being an athletic freak, a freak of nature, getting good at the catch point. There's just a lot of good areas for this team to go to. Kenyon Sadiq can be kind of like that bigger wide receiver that you need, with also the athletic ability to take him to the house if you give him in space. I wouldn't really hate that at all if I was the Rams. And it's kind of maximizing getting a weapon for Matthew Stafford, maximizing his MVP window and the Super Bowl window in general before you have to pay a bunch of people. Not the worst idea in the world to take this team. I really like this, and I think this makes sense a lot for the Rams. The Ravens, a lot of interesting areas. I can definitely see going Vega. They lost their guard, Falele, and then you need a replacement for him anyways, even if he's re-signed. I'm going to go Spencer Fano, though. I think Spencer Fano would be a great swing tackle or guard for this team. I think you definitely play tackle if you need him to in a scenario, but I think primarily you should play him at guard because his arm length is very, very short, and he was playing more guard-based drills and sometimes center-based drills at the combine, and I think people will probably take him for, or organizations probably take him for guard. I don't know. I just think that taking an offensive lineman here is not the worst idea in the world. You can obviously go McKay. I don't like McKylum in here. I think Jordan Tyson. If you're gonna take wide receiver, take Jordan Tyson, who's that number one guy. I can definitely see Jordan Tyson in a Ravens uniform. But today they get their guard / tackle, swing tackle of the future. Not the worst idea in the world. The Bucs. I've had this a lot too with the recent departure of Mike Evans. I think taking Mekhi Lemon here is not the worst idea in the world. You get a real slot wide receiver, and then you take Egbuka on the outside to eventually be the number one guy. And then you have Godwin too. I don't know. I'm not gonna rely on Godwin too much. So taking Mekhi Lemon here is not the worst idea in the world. I know you would probably like something else, I would definitely see them going Cassius Howell. I don't really like Cassius Howell. I'm gonna be honest, dead ass. I don't really like him. I just think taking McKylum in here is the best option for Buck. I think taking Kenyon Sadiq is 100% in play, but he's gone. So you're taking McKylum in here. Not the worst in the world. The Jets, after losing AVT and Simpson, I think just who's going to play guard there? I think taking Vega Ione is the best pick for this team. I think Vega would be great for this team. Real high floor type player. He would be really solid for this team because, again, you just don't have a guard, so there's not a lot to do. There's not much variation. I mean, you can maybe try to, I don't know, put it off. Maybe take Chase Pasantes at 44 or take Pregnon at 33. I think taking Vega Ione, I think the drop. I like Pregnon. I think he's a top 32 player in my eyes. I just don't he's a little bit on the older side. I think Vega is a better prospect than Pregnon. So taking Vega here is not the worst idea in the world. The Lions. I have been going in many different ways, but with their offensive tackles retiring, I'm going to go Blake Miller. I think Blake Miller would be a good sub and tackle for this team, and I think this team needs a tackle regardless. And with departures of David Montgomery, you're probably going to need more of a more offensive line help for Jahmyr Gibbs so he gets less banged up, and maybe develop him into a better player to eventually, not Jahmyr Gibbs, but Blake Miller to a better player to eventually be a good tackle across from Penei Sewell. Not the worst idea in the world. The Vikings. There's a lot of areas the Vikings can know as well. I think defensive interior with their guys hitting free agency, I think Caleb Banks makes the most sense. If Deanman's here, I think that makes the most sense as well. But now that he's gone, Caleb Banks will probably be going here because, again, you need a high upside type player. This guy would be really good. Sample size has been small this year, but the last couple of years he was really good. And I know there's been injuries, but he's just really strong. He's an athletic freak. He moves so quickly for his size. He'll be good replacement for some of these guys that are leaving. So it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to get him. Panthers, there's a lot of areas to go here too. I don't know. I think taking a tackle here is not the worst idea in the world. I think I'm going to go Keenan Proctor out of Alabama. I think this would be good, a good tackle development. He'll probably move into guard once Ekwonu comes back, but Ekwonu is missing a lot of time, so maybe develop him to a tackle and then maybe move him to guard. Not the worst idea in the world. I think this team needs a little more offensive line depth. You definitely see going wide receiver here. Jordan Tyson has fallen a lot, but I just think that taking Keenan Proctor here makes the most sense because this team with Teteroy and McMillan, it's not the worst idea in the world to and Coker and even Leggett. I think you can to hold off on a wide receiver for a little bit because that next year's wide receiver class is pretty good too. So taking Kenny Proctor here is the highest in the world, and eventually playing him a tackle and moving into guard once Quando comes back. The Cowboys, there's a lot of areas they can go here too. It did sign some edge talent off in free agency. They did take Dylan Thiemann here, so I think another corner would suffice. There's a lot of different areas they can go here as well. I think taking Jamal McCoy, I just think taking him here is not the worst idea in the world as well, because Jamal McCoy, again, was a lockdown corner before he got injured. So I think taking him here is not the worst idea in the world because you get a number one corner. The problem is his injury history is ACL, but I think ACL injuries are easy to come back from in this day and age. Not easy, but they're easier to come back from in this day and age than it was 10 years ago or like 15, 20 years ago. So not the worst idea in the world to take him here. I think this makes a lot of sense for this team because they need a lockdown corner now that obviously with Diggs gone, and then Bland is not a number one caliber corner. So taking Jamal McCoy here is not the worst idea in the world. There's a lot of interesting areas they can go here. They did sign Pittman, so I think wide receiver is kind of off the table for me. So there's a lot of interesting areas to go here. I definitely think a defensive interior with to eventually take over for Cam Hayward. I know they just signed him again, but I think taking Peter Woods here is not the worst idea in the world to kind of maximize that talent there. Cam Hayward can teach him and then give this defensive line an even more crazy area for this team to go into to be a actual like dog. Like he can be a dog next to Cam Hayward, and will be really good to develop under him. Not the worst idea in the world. I just think taking a wide receiver here is a little too rich, and you're eventually going to have to pay like some of these guys do. I think taking wide receiver would also just be like doubling down on free agency, which is fine, I guess, but this team really needs a little bit more. So I definitely can see Ty Simpson going here as well, but I think taking Peter Woods here, taking a really solid player wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Chargers, I know that they got some interior offensive linemen in the free agency, and I think you can wait on the interior offensive linemen, but Jordan Tyson's, no. I think you can definitely go at Emmanuel McNeil-Warren and get him at the exact rank he is. I wouldn't hate that pick at all. You can also go defensive interior. I think Kane McDonald is definitely in play. I wouldn't hate that pick at all for this team. Christian Miller, also an athletic freak, a little bit more technique refinement needed. But honestly, I think this wouldn't be the worst idea for the Chargers to eventually develop into Christian Miller. I'm going to go a little crazy. I'm going to go Christian Miller today. I really like Christian Miller as well. I think he's an athletic beast. It's just the problem, his technique is a little off. But I think definitely he can develop into being a good guy. And he doesn't have to immediately start and be the number one guy. You definitely can still see going Cam McDonald with that 3-4 style defense that they like to run. But Christian Miller would be good opposite to Tier Tart. A good rotational piece and eventually beat that number one guy. I know they just extended Tier Tart to a 3-year extension, but again, you can keep on building up on that. So I think you definitely find a guard later on in the later draft because they have like what pick 55. I think you can definitely find a fine guard there. I wouldn't really worry about that so much, especially if you were drafted in free agency. Not the worst thing in the world. The Eagles, I think taking edge is 100% needed. This team would love Akeem Mesidor, who has a lot of pass rushing upside, and I know he's a little older, but if he wasn't older, we'd be talking like a top 10 player. I mean, it's just that simple. Akeem Mesidor was really solid in Miami, and the problem is he's older, he's 25, and there has been injury history in the past, but I think taking his upside just in general and just his instant production for this team that really might need it, it's not the worst thing in the world, and this team wouldn't mind it at all. The Jags, Jordan Tyson has fallen so far, and I really think Jordan Tyson can go here. I love Jordan Tyson. I think when he's on the field, he's really good. He's fallen a lot for me because, again, teams value these injuries. I know he's really good. He can kind of have, like, I've seen people kind of compare him to Justin Jefferson, have that Justin Jefferson type fall where he falls like really late and then he eventually becomes like the best wide receiver in the NFL, even with some of these injury concerns. I think Jordan Tyson can definitely be like that. He's really acrobatic. He's really good at the catch point. Like, I don't know. I just think that he's just going to be an overall solid player for this team. And this team would actually really like a player like Jordan Tyson who can be that number one wide receiver for the foreseeable future because this team does not have one. So, be a good, reliable target for that quarterback. And with a good offensive line, this team can honestly really utilize a dynamic player like Jordan Tyson. The Bears, I'm going to have him going Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out of Toledo. I think this makes the most sense for me because Emmanuel McNeil-Warren was really solid at Toledo. He's not a freak show athlete. He didn't test off the charts at the combine, but you're not taking him for his athletic ability, you're taking him for his smarts, his idea of hitting, his strength. Just in general, he was just really solid at Toledo. I think taking him here is not the worst thing in the world. We've seen Toledo secondaries be pretty well. Hint to Quinton Mitchell, not really bad, not a bad pick. I think I will eventually go back to a Toledo safety again, taking Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. So I think this would make a lot of sense for the Bears because they I know they signed Kobe Bryant, but I think you need another safety after the safety duo left. So getting two safeties in Kobe Bryant and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren is not the worst idea in the world. The Bills, you get to the wide receiver one, so there's the wide receiver board has fallen really well. I would have loved Omar Cooper Jr. I just don't think that's worth it right now. I think this team has much more needs. You can go Keldrick Folk, who's another athletic beast. You can also see going Jacob Rodriguez, which is not the worst idea in the world. But I'm gonna go Keldrick Folk here. I wouldn't hate that pick at all. You need an edge threat. He has the flexibility of playing defensive tackle as well as edge. I think you're probably playing with edge because his team needs edge a little bit more. But wouldn't be with the worst idea in the world. I think taking Keldrick Folk will be a pretty good pick for this team that needs a high floor rushing high floor rushing edge threat. But he has a little concerns with his athleticism, relying too much on it. He kind of reminds me of Shamar Stewart, where he relies a lot on his athleticism. But teams honestly seem to like that because if you have perfect athleticism, good size, you can develop the technique over time, so it's not the worst idea in the world. 49ers, they have a glaring hole at the offensive tackle position. You also have a glaring hole at the wide receiver position. I don't think I like Cassius Howell here. I think that's a little too much for me. TJ Parker wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. I know they were other than Nick Bosa, depth was not that great. I think Robert Saleh coached them up a lot better than they should have played. I think guard and tackles in play. I think Maxi Nacho would not be the worst idea in the world to develop beside Trent Williams. Would not be the worst idea in the world to get a physical beast. Maxi Nacho did not play football for very, very long, but he did play very, very good football when he has been playing. And honestly, this team really needed a tackle there, and it's not the worst idea in the world to take him. The Texans, there's a lot of areas they can go here too. Lee Hunter would definitely be in play. Kaden McDonald would definitely be in play. There's also a glaring hole for guard and offensive tackle. I think Caleb Loman would be not the worst idea in the world. I know you just traded Tyus Howard, but I think taking guard here is not the worst idea in the world. You get a guard here, and just taking your guy here. I know Pregnon is a little bit of a older prospect. He's a redshirt senior, but he was damn good. He produced at USC. He also produced at Oregon. He had a pretty good year at Oregon too. I really like this pick a lot for the Texans because they get their guard of the future, and they also protect and maximize CJ Stroud's protection, and that's really the most important part is protecting CJ Stroud, and eventually that running back David Montgomery. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I think they can definitely go running back later down in the draft because they do have a pick 59. So it's not the worst thing in the world to take this team, to take this player for this team. The Chiefs, there's a lot of areas you can go here. I think corner you can wait on. I know you just got Delane, so it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. You can go Kaden McDonald because you can get a guy next to Chris Jones, who has great rushing, stopping upside, as well as good passing rushing upside as well. You also go TJ Parker, get your edge of the future. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go wide receiver here. I like Casey Concepcion. It seems kind of redundant. Same. I think Denzel Boston would make the most sense. Maybe Omar Cooper Jr. because his team is gravitated towards these type of players as well. But I don't know. I think I'm gonna go. I'm really high on TJ Parker. I really am, and I really like him. Do I go with him here? No. I'm gonna go Omar Cooper Jr. I think Omar Cooper Jr. makes the most sense for this team because they need a wide receiver outside Mahomes. I know they just signed K9, would be really, really good for Patrick Mahomes because they're gonna need him to eventually dump off this ball and not get him like with Pacheco and Hunt. They would there was not very much explosive plays. There was maybe I think they had both of them combined had 20 10+ yard runs. K9 had 40 plus 10-yard runs, and I think K9 would be really good for this team. And they also need a wide receiver because Rashee Rice suspended a lot. He just had a bunch of off the field issues. Xavier Worthy, I don't think is wide receiver 1. I think he's a good wide receiver 2 or 3 / slot guy. I think Omar Cooper Jr. can play that X role or Z role opposite of Rashee Rice. Would be a great pairing for this team, and they get their offensive future, and also they also have their tight end of the future as well with Travis Kelce. Well, not of the future, their tight end, future Hall of Fame tight end, Travis Kelce. So it's not the worst idea in the world. The Broncos, I am going CJ Allen a lot, but today I'm going to go Jacob Rodriguez because I just love Jacob Rodriguez. I think he's going to be an amazing prospect and amazing player. Jacob Rodriguez will be awesome for this team. I know they just lost John Franklin Myers, but I think taking Jacob Rodriguez with a re-signing of Alex Singleton would be pretty good to good linebacking core. This team had some issues with linebacking, especially with Alex Singleton being diagnosed with testicle cancer, I think, or some sort of cancer. So I'm glad he's a little better, but Jacob Rodriguez would be a great pairing with Alex Singleton, so it would not be the worst idea in the world. Patriots, there's a lot of areas you can go here too. You definitely go wide receiver. I know they just signed Romeo Doubs, but I think taking Casey Concepcion here is not the worst idea in the world. This team needs another wide receiver. I know they lost Diggs. I think Casey Concepcion can fill in that Diggs role, who will be a kind of do-it-all type of guy. I know Diggs is not going to be a punt return like Casey Concepcion, but Casey Concepcion is younger, and he gives Drake May a valuable target. And Drake May's wide receiving core was really bad. Other than it was Diggs, Booty, and Yeah, it just like it was not great. So I would think Casey Simpson can walk in and be the number 2 guy outside Romeo Dobbs, and then a good contrast to Booty, and probably can play a slot role in Booty and play on the outside if you need him to. Not the worst idea in the world. The Seahawks, I think the Seahawks have had a very mediocre free agency. They lost Kobe Bryant, and I don't think I'm going to take a safety in the first round here. So taking corner here as well with Reek Williams being gone, I think taking Avon Terrell here is good value for your pick. It would be kind of similar to Reek Williams, kind of a feisty player. I know Reek Williams has those like flashes and like those ticks of where he like fucks up in a game and then he like causes them a really really late penalty. It happened a couple times in the playoffs. Avon Terrell can kind of be like that, but I don't think he has a hot head as Reek Williams. I think Avon Terrell plays bigger for his size. He's a little bit on the smaller side, but he's just has a great damn nose for the football. I think he would be great for the team. I think the Jets have a perfect scenario here to take Denzel Boston, a good wide receiver to contrast Garrett Wilson and Adonai Mitchell. Denzel Boston can probably play on the Z or the X, and then Garrett Wilson maybe in the slot or in the Z and an X or whatever. Like it'll be a good pairing with Adonai Mitchell and all that. I wouldn't really hate this pick at all for the Jets. I think they need wide receiver 1. Denzel Boston does not have elite separation and does rely on his athleticism a good amount, but I think if you develop his technique, because you can't teach his size at 6'4", 210, like you can't really teach his size. Like at that point, like I think you just take your guy here and you take your wide receiver to eventually develop him. The Cardinals, I think Ty Simpson's the value is too good. I think Ty Simpson, he did have his issues at Alabama throughout the year. Obviously, the Florida State game is really bad. Indiana game is really bad. But he was playing through an injury, and he had a sickness or something. He had something where he lost 25 pounds or 15, like 25 plus pounds. At one point, you have to be like, okay, yeah, he's good. And he's like denied. Like I'm pretty sure got like denied or like offered so much NIL money from like Tennessee and like these big SEC schools like that need a quarterback. I think Auburn too, and. He denied that just to go in the draft, and I think that just proves how confident he is in him, and proves like the type of leader he is. I think he can be a pretty good team player for this team. And I think at the tackle and the quarterback's not the worst idea in the world, especially with Kyler Murray being gone. Maybe you do put Brissett over. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but I think taking your quarterback 1 for the future is not the worst idea in the world. The Titans, they did sign Wan'Dale Robinson, so I think wide receiver is out of the equation. If there was a wide receiver, I think not really. I don't think there's any wide receiver I would have taken here regardless. So they did take David Bailey, so to get the edge out of the way. I think running back is definitely in play. Do I think Price will go this high? I don't know. I think this is a little too high for Price. I think people mocking Price in the first round is a little crazy. I don't know. I think linebacker is definitely in play too as well. Guard is also in play. Maybe corner. You need a number 1 corner as well. Chris Johnson wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Brandon Cisse might not be a terribly bad idea as well. I know you just signed Cordell Flott, but you can have a good corner outside of Flott. Chase Pasantis would make a really good pick for this team, because I think Chase Pasantis would be a great pick because you need to protect Cam Ward and you need a guard regardless. But yeah, anyways, it's not a bad pick to take Chase Pasantis here. I wouldn't hate that pick at all. The Raiders with Fernando Mendoza off the board for them. There's a lot of areas they can go. Defensive interior is definitely play. K. McDonald would not be the worst idea in the world. Definitely go wide receiver here as well. But I'm not a huge fan of this wide receiver, how it's fallen. Tackle here is fine too. I like Miller a lot though. And then you obviously sign Linderbaum. With the Max Crosby trade, I don't know if he's gonna get traded or not. I haven't checked it. Maybe he did get traded while I was recording this. But yeah. Like this would be an interesting area to see where he goes. So yeah, I don't think he's gonna trade yet. So I'm not gonna rule out Edge yet, because they still probably might sign a suitable partner. But as of right now, as I'm recording this, I don't think this makes sense. So I think taking a corner here would not be the worst idea as well. I don't know. There's a lot. Maybe you can nah. I'm gonna go K. McDonald. I think that makes the most sense. You need a defensive tackle. I think it just makes the most sense. It's for your needs, honestly. I think that makes the most sense for me, because you're kind of taking best player available. I don't think C.J. Allen's the best player available in this scenario. I mean, for me, T.J. Parker is, but I think just taking one of the best players available on the board is not the worst idea in the world, and it also fills one of your slots. So not the worst idea in the world. The Giants, there's a lot they can do too as well. They did just sign Jermaine Illuminor to an extension, 3 year, $36 million, I think, or $39 million, one of the two. You definitely can go wide receiver here, because that wide receiver core is fucking abysmal. And you have Malik Neighbors, which is a top 5 receiver, top 10 receiver. Then you have the drop off is crazy. Then you have Darius Slay and Isaiah Hodgins. And as of right now, they haven't signed a wide receiver yet. And I don't know what's going on. And they haven't signed a guard yet either. So there's a lot of needs for this team, and they don't even have a 3rd round pick, because they traded that up for Dart, which is the right pick. I mean, Dart is your franchise guy, but you don't have him regardless if it was the right pick or not. You don't have it. Caleb Lynn was definitely in play here, because they said they don't need guard, and I think, would you want Caleb Lynn to play guard and then have Thomas, Caleb Lone playing that left guard. Then putting JMS and then the right guard, and then who's their other guard? Marcus Bell, right guard, and then Illuminor, right tackle. I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna do that. I think you can get a wide receiver like Ted Hurst in the second, or you can, in the fourth, or maybe trade up and get him in the third, or you can get someone like Antonio Williams. I'm not a huge hater of Antonio Williams for the Giants. And this team could maybe sound like a cheap wide receiver on the market, like day 3 or day 4 of the NFL draft. Not the worst idea in the world, but they take Caleb Lone. I think this is the worst idea in the world. The Texans, you would really love a defensive interior. I would love more youth in that room. The problem is, actually, Lee Hunter is right here. I think that makes the most sense. Lee Hunter is perfect. I thought Lee Hunter was gone. So yeah, Lee Hunter here is not the worst idea in the world. I think taking Lee Hunter here, guys, brings crazy upside for his rush stopping ability. Not the worst idea in the world. This team needs more youth, and Lee Hunter honestly had a bunch of character development for winning UCF to Texas Tech was not that bad, and people have praised his character. So I think the team could use a little bit more character as well, and in a pretty ruthless defense. I think Lee Hunter would be a good contrast to that team, and I think he would be great rush stopping for this defense. The Browns, I think I'm gonna go guard or tackle here. I think Caleb Tiernan can definitely go here. I think I can have him as a guard type player. Moving him to guard is not the worst idea in the world. Or I don't know if I want to take 2 wide receivers. I'm gonna go Caleb Tiernan though. I think Caleb Tiernan can move into guard. I'm not as high on Jennings Dunker as I am Caleb Tiernan. I think Caleb Tiernan, more of a guard type player, he's a little bit on the heavier side, and he didn't measure that well for his combine results. So not the worst idea in the world to take Caleb Tiernan here. I wouldn't hate that pick at all. The Chiefs, I think TJ Parker, I was debating TJ Parker 29. It falls to 40. I think that makes sense. I have TJ Parker as a first-round player. Some people don't. I don't know why they don't. I think he's just been awesome at whatever position he's played. He's not the most astounding, like the most generational prospect ever, but he's just been a damn well solid prospect. I think this team could really use that. Taking TJ Parker is not the worst idea in the world, because TJ Parker didn't astound anybody in the combine, but he didn't disappoint. Like, I think he was just an overall solid prospect, and this team needs an edge to that opposite side. And you get Mansour, you get who did they take at 29? Like Omar Cooper Jr. and TJ Parker. That's like a win for me. That's a fucking win for the Chiefs. The Chiefs get away with it again if they get TJ Parker, Omar Cooper Jr. and Delane. So I think this makes the most sense for me. The Bengals, I really like Zion Young here. I really do. I think Zion Young would be amazing for this team, for a team that just lost Trey Hendrickson and needs a defensive interior, contrast to Shamar Stewart. I'm not really high on Shamar Stewart at all either, but I think taking Zion Young here is not the worst idea in the world, which is what they need. They need a young edge guy who's been really good. The only problem is he got a DUI. I think if you look past that and if you tell him to get his like shit together, he'll be pretty good. And I think he hasn't really had anything since there, so his shit might already be together. So pretty good. And I think he's produced at Missouri really regardless. So it's not the worst thing in the world. CJ Allen, I have here. I think that would make the most sense for this team. Then we go wide receiver as well. I just don't really like the board at all, so I'm gonna go CJ Allen for this team. Pretty like a first round player for PFF. I think I'm gonna have him more as an early day 2 guy. The Giants don't take Sonny Styles. I think they would take CJ Allen if he falls. But CJ Allen goes here. He has a bit issues with his coverage in these smaller type receivers. But I think taking him is not the worst idea in the world, because you get your Demario Davis replacement, who's gone to the Jets now, and you just get more youth in there. The Dolphins, there's a lot this team needs. I would love a corner here. I think Colton Hood makes the most sense for this team. I think Colton Hood would kind of be a good corner for this team. Jeff Hafley would love him. I think Jeff Hafley would develop him to being a great corner. He did fall a little bit because of his terrible combine, or sorry, Senior Bowl, but had a pretty good combine. So he kind of like rose himself back up to that fringe day 2 or late day 1 type of player. So I was high him as that. Maybe like I had him earliest going at 15, but I think like latest I have him going as 43, or like maybe 50 with the Lions losing some guys. So I wouldn't mind this pick at all for the Dolphins. The Jets have honestly had a pretty good draft. Vega, Reese, and Boston. Not the worst idea in the world. This team needs a number 1 corner. I think D'Angelo Pons is a little too small for this team to be number 1 corner. Taking Brandon Cisse to replace that Sauce Gardner role is not the worst idea in the world. I think Sauce Gardner was detrimental to this team. That trade got them a lot of capital. Traded for 2 first-round picks. One of the only few players traded for 2 first-round picks. Max Crosby was a part of that, and now that's gone. So let's see where he goes, or if he stays, or whatever happens with all that. But Brandon Cisse will be really good. He's an athletic freak. I think be a good contrast to some of these corners on the team. And this team is honestly building a sneaky good secondary. And they got all those guys. They got an edge. They got a corner. They got a wide receiver. They got a guard. The only thing they need is quarterback. But they already have Geno Smith. So that's all of their needs gone. And with Garrett Wilson coming back at Adonai Mitchell, this team, honestly, I know you can clown all you want for the Geno Smith trade. I know I fucking hate that trade too for them. But at the same time, this team, for what they have built, it's not the worst idea in the world to start thinking of them as maybe like a better team than you usually think of the Jets. I know it's the Jets. I know I'm not gonna get excited, but there's brighter days ahead, and I think this team can really make some noise eventually. Not now, eventually. The Ravens, with some of these guys going, I think Jeremy Bernard is a little too redundant. I think Chris Bell would be a good contrast to this team, who's not the biggest in the world, but he's bigger than some of these other guys. He's 6'2", 220s. He's bigger than Zay Flowers. He's bigger than Bateman. So wouldn't be the worst idea to take him here. You need a wide receiver here. And if you take, I think, who did I have him taking? Spencer Fano? It's not the worst idea in the world to take Chris Bell, who would be a good wide receiver for this team, and a good wide receiver for Lamar Jackson. Not the worst idea in the world. The Bucks, I think taking McCollum is not the worst idea in the world. Cassius Howell falls to them. People have him going 15. I just don't think it's a 15 overall pick type player. I think Cassius Howell is really good for day 2 type player. Can get to the edge rusher, but he either wins immediately or loses immediately, and that's a real problem because it's definitely boom or bust. This team would definitely love a linebacker too. The linebacker class is pretty deep as well, so maybe you can get someone like an Aiden Fisher later on. I don't know why PFF has him ranked so low. I think he's just so fucking good. I don't know why people are rank him really low. Or Elam's or had a pretty good combine too, wouldn't mind that. Or just had Trotter. I don't think he'll fall out the second round, but or Galladay. I don't think both of them will fall out the second round, but there's a lot of areas for them to go. But I think Cassius Howell would make the most sense for this team. The Colts, they just assigned Daniel Jones to a 2-year, $88 million extension. I find that fucking crazy, dude. Daniel Jones' agent has to be like top 10 humans of all time if he's like doing all of this, because that's crazy. Giants gave him 4 years, $160 million, cut 2 years later. Then the Colts have one good year, he tears his Achilles, then gets franchise tagged, I think, and then now he gets an extension for 2 years, $88 million. What the fuck? What is he doing? He's getting $44 million annually. What the fuck? That's crazy. So, anyways, regardless, that doesn't matter. But I think taking a linebacker here with Zaire Franklin gone, I think this makes a lot of sense for them to go Jake Golladay, who's a good downhill tackler who would be really good for this team that needs it. Not the most flashy pick ever, but I just really like Jake Golladay as a prospect. He didn't have a great combine, but I don't think that's going to drop him out the second round. I think I always had him as a second round player. The Falcons, I actually really, really love Jeremy Bernard to the Falcons. I think this would be a great pick for Stefanski, who would have a good core with Drake London, Jeremy Bernard, and then obviously with Bijan, who is pretty good in the pass catching game anyway, and Kyle Pitts. Not the worst idea in the world. Jeremy Bernard isn't astounding in a bunch of things, but he's just overall like a high floor player that'd be really, really good for this team. I think this would be really, really good for this team that needs a kind of a high floor established player, and a good contrast to Drake London, he's a little smaller, he can play in the slot, but he can also play on the Z if you really need him to, and Drake London could be that prototypical X-type receiver, which you really like. So that's not the worst thing in the world. The Vikings, there's a lot of areas they can go to as well. There's safety. AJ Halsey would make the most sense for me, though. I think AJ Halsey is another really high floor. He's really good at he had a couple of interceptions. He's not the best, not the best safety in this class. Obviously, I really like Caleb Downs, but in separate areas, he was just really good, and I think he will be very, very good for this team, who really needs a number one safety because Harrison Smith is getting older, so it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to take him. The Lions, with a bunch of corners leaving, I can never see him going there. The corner board has fallen pretty well for this team. I think Gabe Yakus is definitely in play too, because I think you need one. I'm going to go Malachi Lawrence, though. I really like Malachi Lawrence as well. I think Malachi Lawrence would be great for the NFL. I think he's just he has crazy good strength. He didn't do any agility drills in the combine, but really performed really, really good in the combine, and top 5 in 40 yards, and really good in strength drills. Not the worst idea in the world to take him here. I really like Malachi Lawrence. I think he'll be a round 2, early round 2 player for me. But yeah, I really like him a lot. The Panthers need a good amount here too as well. I think taking a tackle would help them a lot here. Maybe a wide receiver here. Skylar Bell wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Maybe Zachariah Branch could play that slot role, or even Deion Burks. I'm going to go Deion Burks. He had a really good combine as well. He ran a really fast combine. He had just overall solid combine in general. He's a little bit on the other side, but he's on the lighter side. He's smaller, but he'll be really good for this team that needs a wide receiver in the slot, because you have Coker, who had a really good Linsanity run in the playoffs for that one game. He had a really, really good game. And they also have Ted Roy, who obviously won Rookie of the Year, deserved Rookie of the Year. So taking Deion Burks here to play in between those guys would not be the worst idea in the world. Packers, I would say corner would make the most sense. I think Chris Johnson or Keith Abney would make the most sense for this team. Maybe D'Angelo Pons kind of seems like a Packers type corner. I think D'Angelo Pons, I really like D'Angelo Pons. The problem is he's 5'9", and I don't know how well he'll play in the NFL with his size, 5'9", 173. That's going to be a real issue if that doesn't work out, because he's going to keep on getting beat by these type of guys. But I don't know. I really like him. I think if he's a first round corner, maybe a number 2 corner, maybe beside Delane. If he's 6 foot, or like even 5'10", like Avion Terrell, like he's just, or 5'10", 5'11", like Avion Terrell, and like 180. Like I don't know. I just like a little more size would have been perfect. But honestly, this team really needs a corner, the glaring hole corner. I think Jair Alexander would kind of fit in that mold of that smaller type receiver or smaller type corner that really developed well. Not the worst city in the world. The Steelers. There's a lot of interesting areas the Steelers can go here as well. I don't think taking an edge here is worth it. Corner here is not the worst idea in the world. They did sign a running back in free agency, so not the worst idea to pass on that. There's a lot of areas they can go here. Zaki Wheatley isn't a terrible idea here too, but I think that's a little too much. I think I like Zaki Wheatley in the 3rd round. Corner wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Yeah, I don't know. The board has not fallen that well for them. Maybe you take best player available and just chalk it up and take Chris Johnson. You just did take Peter Woods. Oh, this is a tough spot. I'm gonna go Chris Johnson, and you're gonna need a corner. Taking the best corner available is not the worst thing in the world. Can be a great corner for them. I wouldn't hate this pick at all for them. I think that the Eagles should definitely take a corner here as well, because the corner board is honestly not that bad. Hasn't fallen that bad. I think Davison Ignosin is not the worst idea to take him at all. I think he's a little bit more of a grabby type player. He does have a lot of like calls, like penalties. But if you develop that into being a good guy, he can be number one corner for this team. Well, actually no, number 2 corner for outside of Quinion Mitchell, and then you can be he's probably like the most like outside corner at this point. I think I found Keith Abney too short. Keontae Scott's a nickel. Traden Stukes is fine, but I think Ignosin I like a little bit more because he's produced at a better school. So I think taking Ohio State's Ignosin is not the worst idea in the world. Develop him into not being a grabby / penalty prone guy, he can be a really good fit for this team. The Chargers, I don't know if I like Jennings Dunker here. I think I like Caden Relish a little more. He had a great combine, and I think that taking him here, pure guard, who will fucking die on the football field, is great for this team. So taking him here is not the worst thing in the world. It's not the flashy pick, but this team doesn't need flashy picks. They need a guard and defensive interior, which they already got. So maybe taking a safety like Zaki Wheatley in the 3rd round would not be the worst idea in the world. Jonathan Smith is such a raw athlete and has the worst fucking pad level and tackling skills ever. So taking him is not the worst. Is the worst idea in the world. Like I usually say, not the worst idea in the world. Jonathan Smith is the worst idea in the world. Cole Wisniewski is not a bad pick either. Maybe that's a more 5th or a 4th type guy, but taking Caden Rutledge here is not the worst idea. Panthers, with the loss of Travis Etienne Jr., I think I'm going to go Jadarian Price. I think that makes a lot of sense for this team that needs a true running back one now that he's gone. Would be a good contrast to the Panthers, who haven't really made a lot of moves in free agency. So taking running back is not the worst idea in the world, who has produced in Notre Dame, obviously behind the best running back in this class, Jeremiah Love. But Jadarian Price is not the worst idea in the world to think. The Bears, there's a lot of interesting areas they can go here as well. Like Daryl Jackson's in place. The Godfather is definitely in place too. Capehart is a little too rich for me in this area. Gil Howard it's more of a 4th round player. This team could also use. I don't know. They just traded for a center, so I think taking a defensive interior and taking the Godfather here is not the worst thing in the world. I don't mind this pick at all. I think they need a defensive interior as well. With the pick of Anthony Warren, he probably might need a regional defensive interior which they really didn't address that much in the draft. So taking him here is not the worst idea in the world. The 49ers. I would like a wide receiver here. This wide receiver core is terrible, and the wide receiver field is not that bad. I think taking a wide receiver here, Malachi Fields has fallen a lot for me as well because it's a really bad combine. I think Ted Hurst would not be out of play here. I really like Ted Hurst. I think he's just such a fucking dog. Sky Bell's not on the worst idea either. He had crazy good route running. I wouldn't mind that pick at all for this team. They really needs it, and I wouldn't mind that at all because they just need it. Sky Bell has crisp route running, surefire hand. He's not the most biggest guy in the world, but he's not the smallest either. He can really play whenever. He's a little bit of an older prospect. He's gonna be 24, but I don't really hate this pick at all for them. The Texans taking Manuel Pregnon on Lee Hunter. I wouldn't really mind that either. But maybe you go an edge to eventually develop, and this edge class is not bad. It's not bad. Taking Derek Moore here's not the worst thing anymore. I have Derek Moore as a really, really high edge. I think I have him as my edge 4 or 5. He's really good. He produced really, really good at the Senior Bowl. I think it'd be awesome for this team. And you can go strength versus strength and just get another guy here. Because you just signed Daniel Hunter, who obviously earned a bunch of money. I think he signed for like a $1 year, $40 million extension, which is crazy to me because you don't really see that happening that often. But he's just really good. So I think taking him here is another city in the world. And eventually, if you let him go, taking Derek Moore here to eventually develop into that other guy across from Will Anderson Jr. would be awesome for this team. DJ Moore is gone from the Bears, so they take Buffalo. Buffalo's pick. There's areas they can go here as well. Maybe you go offensive lineup, take someone like James Dunker, or even like Connor Lew, take someone like Jake Slaughter. I think I like Connor Lew here. I think it would be pretty good for this team. You need a center in this area. I know they just traded for one, but maybe develop Connor Lew into being a better center. Not the worst idea in the world. The Rams, they did take Kenyon Sadiq. Tackle could definitely be in play. Maybe develop James Dunker into a guy who I can see going to this team. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I like Billy Schroth here, but they don't really need a guard that much. Markel Bell is very, very raw. I just think like he's 6'9", 345. This guy's a fucking behemoth. I don't think that's worth the pick. Wide receiver might be in play. I don't hate Chris Brazzell. What's another slot guy that I can see? Zachariah Branch would be the worst idea in the world. Do you want to double up though? Like, because Kansas City can also play that role as well. I don't know. I don't think this makes much sense. I think linebackers also play. I think Trotter is available. I think you develop Trotter. I like Landman a lot. I think he'll be a good development piece for Josiah Trotter, who'd be a great piece for this team. Instead of reaching for someone like James Dunker, who you don't know how well he'll play at tackle, and Markel Bell for how raw he is. He's behemoth, but he's very, very raw. I don't like that at all. Same with Trey Zahn. He's like very, very raw as well. I think taking Josiah Trotter was much surefire, big, great tackler, be a good contrast to Landman, and eventually take over that the Spiller role. I think Spiller will probably be gone sooner rather than later, so taking Josiah Trotter here wouldn't be the worst idea in the world because Josiah Trotter produced wherever he went, so not the worst idea in the world. Broncos, they took Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech. I would like a defensive tackle. I think Big Citrus is definitely in play here. I like Dale Jackson Jr. as well. I think taking Big Citrus here is not the worst thing in the world. Defensive interior, probably going to reach a little bit, but I don't know. I just think taking him here is not the worst thing in the world. WC going Eli Stowers, but today Eli Stowers falls. The Patriots, I think a tackle here wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. Maybe guard area. I know they signed Elijah Vera Tucker, so maybe that's not the worst. Not like a great idea. But Gabe Giacchis goes here. I think Gabe Giacchis is really good. I think he can definitely be a 3-down lineman. Really good pass rushing, but also like pretty strong, like play rec, and also pretty good run stopping as well. I think that this would be a pretty good pick for the team that really lasts, like that true number one guy off the edge. The Seahawks, with the loss of Kobe Bryant, maybe you need a safety. Zaki Wheatley is definitely a play. I don't like Genesis Smith at all. I'm not a huge fan of Kamari Ramsey either. You did resign Rashid Shaheed, so I wouldn't really say that's the worst idea in the world to pass on a wide receiver. I know you signed I usually have Keontae Scott going here, but you signed Joe, so probably the corner. That slot corner role, so that's not the worst. It's a bad idea to take him here. Keith Howdy's a little on the short side. You also take Avon as well, not the worst. Not like a bad idea. Guard wouldn't be terrible. Maybe you can move James Dunker into guard. I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna move James Dunker into guard. The team needs a guard. There's been inconsistent guard play on that line, so not the worst thing in the world to eventually replace that guard. And James Dunker had a pretty good combine, so not the worst thing in the world to take him. Anyways, thank you guys all for watching. That's my mock draft. Let me know what you guys think. I don't know. This is free post free agency mock draft. I will get this out sooner rather than later. So yeah, I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Yeah, let me know what you guys think, and see you guys in the next one.